HitchinTV video production.
Come along, do not dawdle, you must never be late for school. Our beautiful gallery classroom was built in the year 1854. The stepped floor ensures the children can see and be seen by the master. The high windows ensure light floods in, but there is no glare on the desks or the scholars' faces. Originally, this classroom was built for the teaching of 110 boys. They sat on the steps, or perhaps on low benches on the edges of the steps. Around 1900, the steps were widened to accommodate the desks, and the class size was reduced to 30 pupils. The classroom is gas lit and has an open fire for heating. The fire is much closer to the master's desk than to the children's desks. Well-behaved boys would be given the prestigious role of coal monitor and look after the fire and make sure it was well kept, or ink monitor, ensuring that the ink wells were full at all times. In this classroom, the boys learned their 3 R's, reading, writing and arithmetic, and spent many hours practicing their handwriting. By the time this classroom was built, the curriculum had been widened to include subjects such as history, geography and the natural sciences. The boys were also taught object lessons, which is simply an object was brought into the classroom and they would be taught and expected to memorize a few simple facts about each object. This object is a common squirrel, what we would now call a red squirrel. Its Latin name is Sciurus vulgaris. It is an arboreal omnivorous mammal of the order Rodentia. Or to put it another way, it's a tree-dwelling rodent which has a wide diet. When Her Majesty's Inspector of Schools visited, he would ask the boys questions. If they answered accurately, the school would receive its full grant for that year. If they did not do so well, the school's grant would be reduced. If the school's grant was reduced, the master's salary would be reduced. To ensure their scholars learned their lessons well, masters used motivational methods, such as the cane for lateness and bad behaviour. The dunce's cap was for slow learners. And anyone found slouching at their desk had their backs stretched and straightened. Although girls were never taught in this particular classroom, our display case demonstrates how girls and boys were educated very differently at this time. Boys were expected to go out to work and learn a trade. Girls were expected to stay at home and become domestic goddesses. So we see here examples of the equipment they would have used in their kitchens. Of course, they would have spent much of their time sewing and doing needlework. And in the Hitchin and Luton area in particular, straw plaiting work would have been a very lucrative trade, bringing additional money into the household economy. In 1945, this room was converted into the school kitchens. The stepped floor seems a most unfortunate environment for a kitchen, and health and safety standards must have been very different at that time. When the Hitchin British School Trust took over these buildings in the early 1990s, this room was painstakingly and skillfully restored to its Victorian splendour, showing the education system of the late Victorian period. Today, thousands of visitors and school children come to enjoy a Victorian lesson here in our gallery classroom. We hope their handwriting is expert enough to pass the stern Victorian teacher's inspection. We hope that you've enjoyed this little glimpse of one of the museum's 4 historic classrooms. We hope you'll pay us a visit soon. Visit our website to find out more, check our opening times and discover when you can have a Victorian lesson of your own in this very classroom.